Welcome to Teal Table Talks. Join us around the table for an in-depth and behind-the-scenes look at soundscapes and the community we serve. I'm Carol Minter, Executive Director at Soundscapes, and welcome to Season 2 of Teal Table Talks. Our special guest today is Dr. Andrea Warren. Dr. Warren is President and CEO of the Virginia Symphony Orchestra and has been since December of 2022. She stepped into her current role after a career in education and school leadership, including 13 years with the Governor's School for the Arts, where she retired as Executive Director in 2021, and a history with Virginia Beach Public Schools as well. She also made history as the first Black woman to serve as CEO of a leading symphony orchestra in the U.S. or Canada. We also have with us today Reynaldo Ramirez, who most of you know is our co-founder and program director and my co-leader here at Soundscapes. In addition, Ray has also served as conductor and really artistic director as well for the Peninsula Youth Orchestra since we relaunched under Soundscapes in fall of 2021. Before coming to Soundscapes, he also served as the Senior Director of Education and Community Engagement for the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra and as the former Education Director for the VSO. So welcome to you both. I am so excited. This is a wonderful way to kick off our second season. And for those of you who are watching the video format, you can't help but notice that we are filming around our traveling teal table today. We are currently on the stage of Diamondstein Hall at the Ferguson Center for the Arts, and I'm excited to share with you why in just a few minutes. But to start, I'd really like to start with something I think that we can all agree on. Let's start by talking about just the value of arts education for young people. Dr. Warren, I'll start with you. Why is it so important that we give students opportunities for quality arts education?
Well, first of all, we need them to be creative, right? And that's what arts do. It enables them to create, to imagine, and through that creation and imagining, they can compose music, draw a masterpiece, or write stories, tell stories of their families, stories of what's going on in the world under their lens. And that's what we need. We need that creativity. And that's why it's so important. So when school districts pull arts away, it hinders that growth, right? Because we want kids to play and be creative. And the older they get, they stop playing and being creative because there are other things that change their attention, like games, videos. So yeah, that creativity is really important.
I agree completely. What do you think?
Yeah, well, along with that, I mean, as students are creating, they're really searching who they are. Yeah. And what I love about the arts is it allows them to define and create their own voice. And once they start to have that voice, they're able to then make it louder and share it with the world. And there's so many things that our artists, our students have to say. And what I love about the arts is it's a platform. It's a place for them to actually be seen, and people will sit down and they'll listen, and they won't have these preconceived notions of, oh, this is a youth, and so we're not going to listen to their words. Arts really allow us to kind of bring the bridge from community to community, and that's what I love about arts education.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's young people get to define who they are through the arts. Mm-hmm. They get to figure out their place in the world. They get to interact with their communities. So absolutely, no, I agree with all of that. And we're very fortunate in that in the VSO, we have an organization where education is really key to the symphony's mission. It's really built in. I'd love to hear from you. How does education fit into the work of the symphony?
It's probably one of our leading objectives, and that is engaging students, young students, in symphonic music or in music in general. You know, I have an amazing director of education. Helen does an amazing job with the curriculum from the YPC programs to really bringing small groups or quartets to the elementary school, and then working with music educators or music teachers in preparation for the young people's concerts, which are typically an opportunity for kids not only to listen to music that they may not have ever heard before, but also engage and play. You know, playing the recorder, singing a song and dancing, and learning the parts of the orchestra. My biggest concern for years has been the arts, especially symphonic music, might die, and opera as well. In order for it to stay alive, we have to start engaging students at a very young age. We want them to be engaged. We want them to not only love the music, but be an audience, a new audience. Because our audience, I know you realize they're aging out, the regular audience, so we have to grow that pool of patrons coming into theaters, sitting down and listening to Dvorak or Rachmaninoff, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But at the same time, what has been our regular audience, now really it is demanding a growth of the type of audience that we are coming in. And, you know, we usually have this idea of what the orchestra audience and the orchestra might look like. And I think through the work that the symphony is doing, definitely through the work that we're doing with Soundscapes, we are really diversifying who has access to the arts. And it is not for just one person or one type of profile of a person, but it really can do so much. The orchestra is this living, breathing organism that really can play all different types of music.
Right.
And it's important that we're teaching our students that, that hip hop is accessible and fun, but so is the Dvorak, and so are the music by Florence Price, or our living composers nowadays, where we're not quite used to listening to it, but I think through music education and through these experiences with professional musicians, they start to understand and build their capacity of receiving that art form.
You know, I like what you said about growing the audience. You know, I did a presentation on it yesterday, and a question that was brought up that some people don't feel like coming to the symphony is for them. You know, there's so many, you have to dress a certain way. It's black tie, gown. That's not true. You have to act a certain way. You can't clap in between movements. We've had that discussion with Eric, who is our music director, his feeling on people clapping in between movements, because there's like this strict rule, don't clap. You've got to be quiet. You know, and I prefer being in an audience that's clapping in between. I think the members of the orchestra, the musicians love that.
Yeah.
You know, we get excited. They're playing this really exciting part, and you're sitting there and you're waiting. I want more, and they get excited and they want to clap. But I guess what turns a lot of people off is to hear that voice behind them saying, no, don't clap.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not. We have to be inclusive. We have to embrace everyone and clap in between the movements. No one cares, just
Yes.
clap.
Right.
Enjoy
Yes.
yourself.
Having fun. I mean, it's we have been talking about fun, and I'm not a person that always thinks that every rehearsal is fun, because sometimes, I mean, it's work, but for me, getting on stage and performing, that is fun. Sharing the art is fun, and it's only fun when you know that the audience is receiving it and can receive it without any of these old guard rules that are going on. So we just enjoy, you know.
Well, I love the work that both of our organizations are doing in really working to expand the audience of the orchestra and expand who's on stage for the orchestra. And actually that leads me well to the next topic I wanted to bring up, which is the reason that we're here talking on this stage. We have another performance coming up on this stage at the end of February. On Wednesday, February 28th at 8 p.m., we have a concert that is going to be a side-by-side with Peninsula Youth Orchestra and the Virginia Symphony Orchestra. And I'm so excited for our students and for our audience to have this opportunity. What can the audience expect from this side-by-side performance that's coming up at the end of February?
Well, I'll speak on our side for Peninsula Youth Orchestra. I know we are working very hard, and it's that nervousness of knowing that that you're going to have Vaughn Armstrong come in, and who's concertmaster, and they're going to actually come in and do coachings before we actually have that date. And then you're going to sit next to, like we are, and it's basically this, PYO, and except it's going to be switched depending on where you are, but PYO and VSO. And what I love about the VSO members, because I've had the pleasure of knowing many of them for over 20 years, is that they are teachers at heart and they want to share with the student. And so I know they're worried. You know, our students are worried because they're like, I'm not going to play very well, or what if I miss this note? But I know that our VSO musicians are so open, and they're going to say, well, why don't you try a fourth finger here? Why don't you, and try to help them get to the best performance they can. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, and they're looking forward to, the students, is to have this experience that they're just going to blossom from. And you have experiences like this. These are life-changing moments that you will always remember, and you will always learn, because there's nothing quite like sitting in the Virginia Symphony. I am lucky to have actually had the chance to sub in with the symphony as a horn player, and I've had places where I'm like, no, I can't cry, I got to play, because it is
There's no
so
crying
beautiful
on the stage.
Yeah. No crying. They can cry out there. We can't. But it is. It's just going to be so fun for us, and we're just looking forward to it.
And what's the experience going to be like for the professionals? Because I imagine it's good for them too.
Oh, it is good. And they have fun.
Yeah.
And they enjoy working with young people. They are educators, as you said, in their heart. But not only, they're sharing their love of the music with students. And they are going to reassure them that it's going to be okay. But what I hope students leave the experience with, oh, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. If I can sit beside Vaughn and we're reading off of the same sheet of music, I can do this.
So excited for this concert. And I hope that all of you will be excited and come too. This is actually going to be a free concert for the community. So everyone is invited. There's plenty of room here at Diamondstein Hall. So we hope to see all of you on February 28th.
And I will say, I am usually the conductor, but I actually probably was too scared to actually get in front of the VSO myself. But we have our guest conductor for the Peninsula Youth Orchestra, who's also the conductor of the ODU Orchestra, Dr. Paul Kim, who is working with us, and I know has cover conducted for the VSO before, and so it's going to be a great return to the stage for him with the VSO and with PYO. It's going to be a wonderful night.
Yes, one more reason to come. I hope you're all there. Well, we are just so fortunate to really have an orchestra of the caliber of the VSO here in our community, and and not only with such incredible, talented professional musicians that are part of the orchestra, but also amazing guest artists that you all bring in so often. What else do you have coming up this season? What are you personally excited about for the rest of the season?
Oh, you know what? Curtis Stewart is coming, and I just absolutely love him. So I'm really excited to hear him. He came last year. I like what we do in Pops as well. Again, playing different music to bring different audiences in. And so I'm really looking forward to Whitney, a tribute to Whitney Houston, as well as other women of soul. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And of course, great. Star Wars, and oh my gosh, there's so many more. There's a lot going on. Yeah. So it depends. All right, I'm more interested in what we're doing this week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes, there's so much happening.
Yeah, so much happening.
That's great. That's wonderful.
One of the things with the symphony that I love that you also have is you showcase young education performances in the lobby. You were talking about a Pops concert. You have a concert coming up with Byron Stripling in February, and our jazz band from Greenwood is going to be there in the lobby to perform, and it's just always fun. I think we performed before an 80s concert in February where we ended up. It was funny because we were listening to them rehearse and we're like, oh, we're playing that. Oh, we're playing that. So we were playing all the same music. So they got to hear it from our students, and then they got to go in and hear it with the singers and stuff like that. But always great to perform prior to the symphony concert.
It brings great energy to the audience prior to coming into the theater. So I love those showcases, and the kids look adorable. They're dressed, they're professional in their demeanor, and then they get to see the performance.
Absolutely. Everybody wins.
Yeah, it's a win, exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, in doing my research today, I discovered that you two have something unique in common.
Uh-oh.
You both have children who have performed on Broadway.
We made that connection.
I was wondering if you had figured this out.
I thought there might be another one.
That's not something that a lot of people have in common. Yeah. So, of course, Ray's son performed in School of Rock, and Dr. Warren's daughter actually won a Tony, correct?
That is
for her
correct.
work in the Tina Turner musical.
Yeah.
Amazing. What is that like as a parent to see your child up on stage in that kind of role?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, well, I mean, they were in different parts of their life. So my son was 9 when he did it. And as I was sitting in the Winter Garden Theater, waiting for him to come, and they had 3 weeks to learn the show. Wow. And they had one rehearsal with the cast before they went in. Wow. And because she premiered it, right? And she opened it. Sammy was the first replacement of his role. And I think I was more nervous than he was. But when he came out, honestly, there was no stopping, just like these tears of pride and just happiness, because at the age of 5 he told me, Dad, by the time I'm 10 I'm going to be on Broadway. And here he was at 9, and he did it. And that really, to me, shows me the power of when youth say they're going to do something and they put their mind to it, they can do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was just so excited and so proud. Oh,
that gave me chills. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Adrienne has been performing for a while, so we've seen her on stage a couple of times, but the Tina, it was an experience that I will never forget. The first time I saw her play Tina was in London, and I only got to go to one rehearsal, and that really surprised me. But sitting in the audience that night, my husband and I looked at each other and said, we don't understand what's happening right now. Something is happening, but we don't get it. These people around us are singing, and people are getting up and they're dancing, and we were really in shock. But to see her go through that journey and then to be at the Tonys, and that was actually her second nomination, and then to have people like Lynn walk over to her and say, "You're going to win," and I wanted to slap Lynn for telling her that. Don't tell her that; it might be a disappointment. And when she won, we were very proud. And when I even think about it now, it just makes me want to cry. Yeah,
Beautiful.
There, that world it's ups and downs for sure.
Yeah.
My connection to the Tonys is a little sour, actually, because it was maybe 20. I don't even know at this point when it was, but it was Tony's night when Sammy had just finished his second show, and then came home and he was watching the Tonys. We got a text from his manager saying they aren't renewing his contract. They're thinking he's gonna get old and too old on this next contract.
He could have waited.
And that as high of a moment when he found out that he got it, to know that it was going to end, he was like, why don't they want me? He was crying, and to see your 10-year-old who was living in New York and I'm living here in Hampton Roads, my parents were taking care of. I couldn't even hug him. It was such a tough thing. So there's with everything, there's ups and downs. But then he was able to get another role and do some things, and life goes on. But boy, you got to love the arts for all of its great things and low things.
And the low things, that's right.
Well, good news for all the student musicians out there. You're not going to age out of being a musician.
No.
So good news there. Well, we like to end every episode with what we call the Rapid Fire 4. So I've got 3 quick-ish questions that I ask to every guest, and with this being the first episode of season 2, no one has heard these particular 4 questions yet.
Now wait, I have a question. You said you have 3.
Did I say 3? I meant 4.
Oh, okay.
I meant 4. I can't count.
Really
That's okay.
nervous.
I promise I'll have it by next time. So 4 quick questions. Thank you for catching that. Number 1, and Dr. Warren, we'll start with you. If you could snap your fingers and learn to play a new instrument instantly, what would you choose?
Ooh, probably the violin. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be better than putting in, that takes a lot of work
Yeah.
to learn the violin.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of pain, shoulder, everything else, but if I could learn like that,
Just like that.
there you go.
Great.
I would love that.
What do you think?
Cello, for sure. Yeah. I
Wonderful.
love the cello.
Excellent. Good choice. Good choice. Question 2. What is one of your favorite local spots to eat, and what's your usual order?
Oh, it's easy. Wherever I go, it's salmon.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I mean, that's my to-go-to, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I like a lot of restaurants. Okay, you go, because I can't think of anything.
Well, it's kind of like it's almost like asking what's your favorite orchestral piece.
Yeah.
That's the third one. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Because I go to these. I make it a point to go to all of these various different Latin-inspired, Latin fusion, and I'm just always trying. But I always try like tortas or some sort of sandwich burrito kind of thing, and wanting to see what theirs are. But if I'm ever at a place that has empanadas, that's where I'm at.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. What do you think? You've had a minute.
No, I can't.
You
I can't.
pass, huh?
Too
pass on that.
many local
Too
good
many.
restaurants. Okay. All right.
many.
But at least we know what you're ordering, so that's good
Yeah.
enough. Okay, good. Number 3, what is your go-to song or artist if you need to boost your mood?
Ooh. I would have to say Tina.
Good choice.
Tina,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think?
Honestly, it is like soundtrack music, like John Williams.
Okay, yeah.
And it's never a good thing if I'm listening to Star Wars and driving at the same time. No cops behind me, hopefully.
Excellent. Okay, very
Note
good.
to self.
Note to self.
Yes. And the last question, what is one piece of advice you'd like to share with our Soundscape students? And I'm going to ask that you give this one straight to the camera because, yes, we are going to make a compilation of these at the end of the season.
Anything you do it with dedication, do it with a strong work ethic, and just do it out of love and let that love shine through whatever it is that you're doing.
I would say that no success and no successes experienced are ever achieved without many failures behind them. And so continue to fail so that you can learn from every failure that you do so that you can get stronger and better and reach the successes that you want in life.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both. I so appreciate you doing this with me today, and thank you for watching and listening.
Thanks for joining us around the teal table. Learn more at soundscapes.org. Soundscapes is supported in part by the National Endowment for the Arts, Virginia Commission for the Arts, Newport News Arts Commission, Carnegie Hall through the Play USA program, LA Phil through the Partners in Music Learning program, D'Addario Foundation, Town Bank, the Bernardine Franciscan Sisters Foundation, and the City of Newport News. Learn more at soundscapes.org.